Hey, it's Dan the Real Estate Guy coming to you from the home office with another video for the frequently asked questions area. Remember, as you go through the core training, mix it up with some transaction training. The actual transaction area is all about the deals we're doing right now, plus some very inspirational stories of what we've done in the past. Then there's the frequently asked questions area. So cruise through there once in a while and watch those videos. You may have had the same questions, or at least you'd like to hear and learn about those topics. And today's is, when will the real estate prices come back? Will they, or when? You know, it's basically two questions. And I think that if you watch the video on watching for the next boom, you know that there's always signs of the top, when things are going to top and head down like they did last time. And there's always signs of when things are going to go back up. Now, I believe that it's going to be a long time, but you have to realize there's really only two forces that act upon price. Prices will go up when there's not enough supply for the demand. In other words, the number of people in the market trying to buy a home, whether it's a condo, an investment property like a duplex or a fourplex, or a single family home to live in, or a single family home to make into a rental property. When there's more people that want the product than there is product, that's what pushes prices up. And if you watched in one of the other videos, I think it's called Down and Flat Longer, you'll know that I believe there's several forces that will keep it down and flat for a long period of time. And this is great news for you and I, because it gives us plenty of time to grow our equity garden. You know, if you haven't watched that video, go watch the equity garden video, because we have a lot of time. I still think we should treat it as if it's an emergency, that you need to get this done, because there could be factors that open up the demand side. If there's too much demand, things will shoot up faster than we thought. Or maybe we thought we had many years to grow our equity garden, but it comes back quicker. I really don't think that's going to happen. But there's no downside to try to grow a little bit faster. Be careful that you walk before you run, of course. You don't want to take yourself out of this business by overextending or whatever. But bottom line is, I think we have a number of years to gather the properties that we want to buy and hold for the future, and also buy and sell some properties to generate the flow or the cash that we need in order to buy the equity garden. Remember, they work together a little bit there. So let's talk about that. Some people actually think we're entering a new model and prices aren't going back up. I would turn and run from those folks as fast as you can, and here's why. Right now, you can buy property in many cases for less than what it costs to build it. To me, it's a big sign that it's a good time to buy. When you can buy properties for less per square foot than they cost to build. I mean, I've bought some for 36 bucks a square foot in an area where they sell for $100 a square foot, and I don't know what it would cost to build that property, but in many cases, when you take into consideration everything, it's far more than 36 bucks a foot, and it's probably far more than the retail value now of maybe 80 to 100 bucks a foot. When you take into consideration all the fees and all the things you have to do, and you have to get the land and then the cost to build it, yeah, it's probably $80 to $120 a foot. And so if you're buying well below that, it's kind of hard for any new builder to come into town and build a product and provide it better than you can provide. All right, it's really tough. So that's a sign to buy. The other sign to buy is when somebody can buy a home and their payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, what we like to call PITI, their total payment is less than that property would rent for. You know, the one I just bought last week, I'm pretty sure that I could rent that property for $900 a month. You know, $895 all day long. It's a condo, really nice, big, near the pool. So very likely I could rent that thing for $895 a month, probably more. You know, maybe $995, okay? But yet I sat there and computed the payments, PITI, and then I even added the homeowners association dues, you know, added it all up. What's it going to cost the consumer to live there when I can only sell it for $82,000 to $84,000? So it comes out to some ridiculously low number. PITI, I believe, with the dues will be less than $700 a month, when I just said I could probably rent it for $895, maybe even $995. Those are just two really big signs to buy. All right? You combine that with the fact that I know I've had this happen over and over and over again. Remember, bad appraisers have cost me now over $90,000 in lost profits, where they wouldn't appraise a property. Even though the comps are there, they would ignore them and come in low. The consumer wants to pay in one case, the consumers, 3 different buyers wanted to pay over $130,000 for the property, and the appraisers wouldn't come in over $100,000. That's artificial, okay? Appraisers shouldn't set value. Appraisers should appraise. A ready, willing, and able buyer is the one that sets value. What will they vote for with their dollars? And right now, appraisers are ignoring that in many cases and going in low. So we have all these different signs that were really low. You hear people talking of double dip. It's going to go down some more. I wouldn't listen to them. I wouldn't listen to them at all. All right? Those are the same guys that before were telling you that real estate only goes up. Okay? You got to stop listening to the people who don't know what they're talking about, and that's most of them. All right? Unless you're in the trenches every day like I am, you don't know what's going on with real estate. You only know the talking head's opinion, and when their lips are moving, they're usually lying. So be very careful with that. That's my clock. We're just going to let that run. It's a different Corvette sound every hour. All right? So I let that interrupt the video, but that's okay. Maybe that's fun for you. All right, let's get back to this. One of the reasons that I wouldn't listen to these people, I just gave you all the signs that we're probably lower than we need to be. However, let's think about this too. You know, those folks that think we're entering a new model and that real estate's never going back up, they're just wrong. And here's why. There is no technology that will replace the house or the place to live. People are not going to start living underground. They're not going to live in trees. All right? They're going to live in houses, condos, duplexes, fourplexes. They're going to live in residential real estate. That's not changing. One of the greatest things about real estate is there is no technology that is going to replace it. You know, I gave examples in one of my other videos that if you were in the cell phone business 10 years ago and you didn't change with the times, you're gone. If you're in the computer business and you didn't change with the times, you're gone. But if I buy a house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a nice area built in 1954, it's in good condition, or I'm going to put it in good condition, I can rent that all day long, or I can fix it up and put it in retail condition and sell it. There's no technology that replaced that house that was built in 1954. I could buy a house built in the year 2000 in another neighborhood. Maybe it rents for about the same. Maybe the retail value is about the same. You see? It doesn't matter. You know, there's no new technology replacing the house. It's just not going to happen. It's a very American thing to own a home. Right? I'm sure it's that way in a lot of countries. But in any country where you can own real estate, why wouldn't you? I mean, come on. So when it's low, why wouldn't you buy some? If you knew techniques to buy it below its current value, in a beat-up market, now you're buying and catching what I call now equity, or buying below its current value. I do it all the time. That condo I just mentioned, I paid $48,800 for it. It's worth $82,000. I have to do no work. You know, it needed almost no work. It's already ready for the market. I think I bought it last Tuesday or something, and it's ready now. We'll go on the market next week. Okay? So there's no technology that's going to replace that. It's ready to go. So think about the supply and demand. Well, I love buying real estate when everybody hates it. They don't hate it this time. In the 90s when the market went down, they hated real estate. There was nobody to sell it to. That's why the number of transactions per month got all the way down to 264 in my county, where now it's 1,500 a month. People still like real estate. They like it because interest rates are low and prices are low. Great combination. All right? Let's look at historic cycles. Again, we already mentioned that every time there's been a boom and a bust, prices have always returned and then exceeded it. I just wouldn't be the guy that's going to bet against that. I do think it's going to be longer this time, but I have to admit to myself that I don't know the future. I know the last historical cycles were around 10 years apart. There was a big boom in the late 70s, crash in the early 80s, boom in the late 80s through 90, crash in the early 90s. I purchased 150 properties from 93 to 96 after the prices had been falling for 3 years. Last time they only fell 24%. This time, for a 3-year period, about '05 to '08, they fell as much as 40, 50, and 60% from the top. I literally have sold properties for 50% of what they sold for before, or less. I can think of a couple right now. The Halfplex that would not appraise for 130, even though people wanted to pay 130, that sold for 275 at the top. If I had that property again right now, I probably could get my 130. There's probably been a few more comps, and maybe they would let it go through. But a year or so ago, when I did that transaction, sold it 3 times. Always sold for more than I was asking, by 10 or 20,000 over what I was asking. Yet the appraisers would only come in low, around 100,000. Okay, so that's one example. But they're all over there. So we're going to watch supply and demand. We're going to watch those historical cycles. Is it going to take longer this time? I think so. I think it's going to take longer than 10 years, but I don't really know. I'm treating it like it's an emergency. I'm going to work it right now. If something happens to affect the supply side or the demand side, it puts them a little bit out of whack, then things could start back up again. I want to have plenty when that starts going back up again. So I'm going to do the buy and hold, I'm going to do the buy and sell, I'm going to do it all. Now, remember, all through the boom I kept pointing out signs of a top, and it did crash just like I expected it to. I will be pointing out signs that it's changing. The supply and demand is changing. In my area, for example, and I want you to learn the numbers for your area, you can kind of get a feel for it. Find out what your inventory is now. Check it every month. How many transactions are closing per month in the area that you work, right? Whether it's an entire county or a part of a county, get your numbers. Find out how many units were closing per month in a hot market. Try to find that historical information. Find out what's going on today. Then keep an eye on it. My area, for example, there was 2,000 closings a month or more. Even a year ago, there was months where there was 2,000 closings a month. We're down to 1,500 a month on average now. I remember seeing 1,800, 1,700, 1,500. If it gets down below 1,000, it'll have my attention, but I'm still just trying to be 2 or 3 of those. I'm not trying to be all of those, so it's not that bad. Remember, we're supplying the best property at the best price, so we're going to sell. But I'm going to watch that. If things get tough and it drops down to, say, 500 closings a month, I can change my strategies. I can do more buy and hold. I can generate income. That's what I did in the 90s when things got tough. That's what forced me into the units, collecting lots of units, lots of rentals, and work my way into the apartments. So you can react to what the market's doing. But watch what happens when inventory starts to drop. Remember I said right now, you've heard in other videos, our inventory is 8,500 properties for sale. In hot markets, we only have about 3,500 on the market. So I'm going to be watching that 8,500. If it drops below 7,000, 6,000, 5,000, I'm going to collect as many properties as I can. Because with inventory dropping like that, if the demand side starts to pick up, people start to go back to work, they're getting jobs, whatever, incomes start to go up, we can watch all those economic indicators. You're setting yourself up for another hot market. We're going to know well in advance before it happens. We also know that the last several hot markets, once we got into them, they went dramatically up in the second and third year. It wasn't time to sell in the first year. So we've got years to collect properties in a down market. We've got even time after there's signs that the inventory is dropping, before the demand picks up. We've got time to collect as many as we want. All right, as many as we can possibly collect. That way in the boom, years 2 and 3, we can harvest part of our equity garden. We can free and clear the ones we want to keep forever. And now you've got properties paying yourself and your family forever. And in fact, it could be for generations. Imagine having 10 free and clear properties rented at $1,500 a month. That's $15,000 coming in per month. You're going to have insurance and some utilities, some things to pay, but overall you're going to have more than 10,000 positive flow per month. Your family can go about enjoying life, and if you never encumber those properties again, don't put loans on them, rents will go up over the generations, and you'll always have 10 properties free and clear in the family. I mean, it's just really, really exciting stuff. This is my 3rd boom and bust. I would not expect from the average person to see more than 3 or 4 of these in their lifetime. All right? When I did the one in the 90s, I thought it was the only one I was ever going to get to see. So getting back to today's questions, will it go up? In my opinion, absolutely yes. Why would this be the first time that it doesn't? You know, why? There's just no good, you can't give me a good reason. When? Now that's a tougher question. It seems logical that this boom and bust was more dramatic than the last two. And if the last two took around 10 years to cycle, this should be more than that. But we're admitting that no one knows the future. We're going to use that information to our advantage. We're going to be thinking it's 10 years or more. But we're going to be ready earlier. And then we're really going to watch. We're going to build our buy and hold side. We're going to buy and sell like crazy, as many as we can. I have 15 going now. I'm planning to push that to 20 to 25 going at a time. 3 or 4 closings every month. You know, building the buy power to be able to buy more. When the buy power is more than needed to keep that big cycle of buy sells going, the extra funds from buying and selling will go into buying and holding. We'll grow an equity garden. We'll keep a lot of what I call quality keepers. When I see the signs that the inventory is dropping or the demand is going up, I'm going to gather as many as I can. That last little group, I'm planning on only holding those into that hot market. So what I'm going to do is target the best areas. The best areas may not have the best monthly cash flow, but they will be best as far as when things start to go back up, I know what parts of my town will appreciate faster than all the rest. So as part of my strategy, when I think we're getting close to that area, and I'll be alerting the members, you're going to know, and you're going to know how to test it in your area. Heck, by then, you should be thinking a lot like I do. If you watch all the videos multiple times and you follow the transactions, you're going to begin to think like a successful real estate investor. You're going to think like one because I am one. And I've been doing this an awful long time. All right, I've made all the mistakes, okay? I'm going to try to help you avoid the mistakes, do what works, don't do what doesn't work. I already tried that. All right, you don't need to get beat up over that stuff like I did. You get to take the shortcut. You get to do the fast track. All right, so stay tuned in. Watch what happens. On this topic, if you want to refresh, go back and watch Watching for a Boom. Know when that's going to happen and be ready for it. All right, go back and watch the Equity Garden video. You need to grow your equity garden during the down part, and then later we're going to plant more in that garden, the part that we think we're only going to keep a short time. Those are going to be our springboard to big profits. Sell those, pay off a group of the properties, have them free and clear, and enjoy life. All right, you should be enjoying the process. If you like it the way I like it, you're not going to stop this stuff. You're just going to do it at maybe a more casual pace at some point. All right, but you're always going to use the real estate skills that you have to better your future. You're always going to be working the market that you're being dealt at the time. Right now you're being dealt one of the best boom-bust periods I've ever seen, one of the best times to buy. Unbelievable, really. I mean, this is huge. So opportunity of a lifetime. Keep cruising through these videos. Get out there and learn your market. Get yourself some solid, good buy sells and buy holds. Be all over it. Be patient and pick off the best ones. Don't force any transactions. You'll regret any transaction you force. It's a numbers game. Look at lots of properties, make lots of offers, use lots of techniques, but get those properties wholesale. Pick up now equity, knowing that there's going to probably be some future equity, and get yourself ready. All right, it's exciting stuff. I'll see you on the next training video.